I'm sorry? It's my 5 past 8. 7:05, 8:05.
Hello, everybody. Hello. So sometimes we have a parasha where it's readily apparent to look at the parasha from beginning to end. There's one theme, one idea which runs throughout, and that is pretty obvious. Sometimes you have a parasha which it's not so clear how one thing connects to another. You have different topics, different ideas, different things as you go through. And sometimes we can go through, and if you take a bit of a deeper look, we'll see that disparate events actually maybe there is a common theme running throughout. So Baha'u'llah is one of those. It's not the longest parasha. Last week, Nassau was the longest parasha, but very, very rich in content. There's a lot that happens, a lot of different stories, a lot of different things that come up. There doesn't seem to be that much of a connection between all of them at least. But let's go through 3 events, 3 incidents which take place in this parasha, and we'll see if maybe we can discern an underlying theme that comes from it. So the first one is the very, very beginning, parashat Baha'u'llah. Word Baha'u'llah, strange word, which means something related to the idea of going up, related to lighting the candles in the menorah. We know Aaron HaKohen is given this command. The truth is, it's a little bit out of place. Why is it here? There are other places where it would have seemed to be more natural fit. And the Parsha begins with Davar Shem Moshe Lemor, Davar Aaron V'amar Elav, Baha'u'llah Tzat HaNeilot, Amur Pnei HaMenorah, Ya'idu Shivat HaNeilot, Vayasken Aaron, Amur Pnei HaMenorah, etc. So Rashi jumps over here and he asks the question, Baha'u'llah, Lama Nismacha, a question which is asked quite frequently throughout Chumash Bamidbar. Rashi asks here, Lama Nismacha Parashat HaMenorah, the Parashat HaNesiim. Why do we have the command of the menorah over here? Why is it juxtaposed to the Parashat of the Nesiim? We concluded last week Parashat Masor, the same passage which is repeated 12 times, each Nasi brought their gift. And of course the answer is that there was one Nasi who did not bring it. There was one Shevet that wasn't there. It was Shevet Levi, right? So he says, the feature Shala'ah Chanukat Nesiim. Aaron saw the inauguration of the Mishkan, saw all the Nesiim coming day by day, Sachar, Zvulun, etc. Now Aaron was upset. He became weakened, depressed, you might say, because he wasn't there with them. Not he was not represented, his tribe was not represented, not the Kohanim, not Shevet Levi. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chayecha. Hashem makes an oath to him, he says, Shavcha Gdola Mishalahem. Don't worry, yours is greater than theirs. Shavcha Gdola Mishalahem. She'ata madlik u'meitiv v'tanel. You are going to, they brought the korban of the Chanukat Mishkan. Okay, fine. But you're going to be the one who is lighting the menorah every day. Okay. A lot of questions are very, very strange. But that is the connection. That's what Rashi tells us. That is why Baha'u'llah is connected to Parashat Nassau. Lots of questions we can ask here. What is Aaron being told that he didn't know before? I mean, he knows he's the Kohen. He's the ones that are working in the Mishkan. Why is it Chal Shadato? Why specifically the menorah? It could have been the Torah, it could have been the Korbanot, it could have been anything. The Ramban takes a bit of a different approach. He criticizes Rashi over here. The Ramban says what's being hinted to, the Shachar Gdola Mishalahem, the Malikta, the Meitiv Tanerot, and that's not the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash, that's Chanukah, that's going through all the generations. Okay, interesting discussion over there. But be that as it may, that is topic number one that comes. A little bit later on, and there's obviously a lot more that goes on, skip it, but topic number 2, which appears, which we discussed quite recently, is the whole parsha of Pesach Sheni. Pesach Sheni, this comes up in Perek Tet. This is, and over here Rashi tells us as well, that really this should have been at the beginning of Chumash Bamidbar. This should have appeared much earlier. Why does it appear here? Because of this part of where we learn the principle of Ein Mukdam Mo'achar B'Torah. It's not necessarily in chronological order. Then it would have been a gnut. Different explanations we discussed in the past, why it would have been disparaging, so to speak, to call out attention to this right at the beginning of the Sefer. We hide it in the middle in Perek Tet, where people aren't going to pay as much attention. But essentially, the story is, you all know the story, Korban Pesach, which is brought in the first year after leaving Egypt, and a number of people who were to make mates, they'd come into contact with the corpse. Some say they were carrying the bones of Yosef, different opinions. And they come along and they come to Moshe Rabbeinu and they say the famous two words. They say, Lama nigara, why should we be left out? We didn't get to bring the korban. Everybody else brought it. Normally we would say, okay, honest Rahman Patra, you were anos, you were exempt. It's not your fault. What are you going to do? You can't bring it. They weren't satisfied with that. They come along and they say, Lama nigara, why should we be left out? And again, the answer which we'd expect would be, you're not left out, but it's honest Rahman Patra. That's not the answer. Moshe Rabbeinu says, okay, we'll go check this out. Go and consult with Kadosh Baruch Hu. He tells them, yes, we have this whole extra parsha of Pesach Sheni, which comes up, and that is to this day, it can be discussed in halachot of Pesach Sheni nowadays, if there is any ramification left or not. But that's the main idea of the problem. So that is incident number 2. Again, on the surface, at first glance, not really much connection between these two events, just different things that happen. And then, as the parsha goes on, we have the Chatzotzrot, we have a number of different things which come up. And then we have the famous section of the inverted nuns, these backward nuns which appear in the Torah. Again, fascinating discussions in halakha about that. Should they be there? Should they not be there? That's a whole historical debate. But we're told that these nuns come to have sick in pranut the Puranut. To interrupt between, this is where things start to go downhill, they say. And in order that this should be from the first one, it says when they ran away, so to speak, from Har Sinai. And then we have these notes, and then this is where things start to go downhill, things start to go really bad. So it tells us we have this parsha of the mitonanim. The Jewish people were complaining, believe it or not. And mitonanim ra goes near Hashem, Vayishma Hashem, Vayichal Abo, V'tit Albam. So it gets very, very angry. And they start, what are they complaining about? As Hashem Kivot Avut Hava, they wanted food. Vayishvu, Vayivku, Gabnei Israel, Vayimu, Mi Achilenu Basar. In the desert, they've got man, they've got miraculous food, they've got miracles. They want meat, right? Where's the meat? And then it says these psukim which are almost unbelievable to read. First of all, I thought you wanted meat. Now you asked for fish, but that's okay. We remember the fish. We were in Mitzrayim. We were in slavery, the first Holocaust for hundreds of years. They gave us fish. We want to go, right? Where's the meat? Where's the fish? את הכישורים, את הבטיחים, את החציר, את הבצלים, את השומין. Where's the vegetables? Where are the cucumbers? Says Rashi. That's how he translates kishuim. Right? We had in Mitzrayim, okay, they enslaved us. It was terrible. They tortured us. They threw our babies into the bricks. All of that. They drowned us in this river. They gave us cucumbers. They gave us cucumbers. They gave us meat. They gave us fish. Whatever it was. So very, very, very strange episode. And Rashi tells us, actually, it's maybe worse than that. They weren't just asking for food. Rashi points out. He says, Hashem achal, the pasuk says, Hadaga Hashem achal b'Mitzrayim chinam. We got this, we would eat in Egypt for free. What does that mean for free? So he says Rashi, Tomar, shemitzlim notnim lehem dagim chinam. Wait a minute. This doesn't make sense. You're going to say the Egyptians get them food for free. So they want to give them straw to make bricks. In the straw they wouldn't give them for free. The bricks they wouldn't give them. So they're going to give them food, luxury, fish, herring, whatever it is. He says, so what does it mean, chinam? What are the people really complaining about? It says, chinam mina mitzvot. They're complaining that there was no obligation, there was no responsibility for mitzvot. The Sitech Chamim points out, there's an interesting paragraph here on Rashi. He says that we know nowadays we say in Kriyat Shema every day. So whether we have food and whether we have crops, etc., it's dependent on our behavior. You do the right things, you follow the mitzvot, you'll be blessed. You don't do the mitzvot, you'll be cursed. It's now there's a certain it was just everything was given for free. There was no responsibility, no mitzvot, etc. And then a few psukim later, it says, "Vayishma Moshe et ha'am bocher lemishpachotav." He heard the people crying to their families, and again Rashi says, what does it mean? Bocher lemishpachotav. Mishpachot ne'esafim v'bochim. Families are getting together and crying. V'ravoteinu amru lemishpachotav aniskei mishpachot. About the laws of the deal of families are alayot hane'esalot lahem. Again, there is an obligation. There's an obligation of mitzvot. There is a responsibility which they didn't have before, and now they have, and that is what they are crying. So, is there a connection between all three of these cases and something which runs thread runs through the parsha? I think there is. As follows, again, just to recap, we saw Aaron HaKohen gets the command by Lotchat Nerot of lighting the menorah. We had the idea of Pesach Sheni. We have this idea of the Mitzonanim, the Mitzavim that are complaining. And again, on the surface, complaining about the food, but on a deeper level, complaining and upset about the responsibility, about the newfound obligation they have in terms of Torah mitzvot. And maybe the key is in two words, which Rashi said, or we mentioned before, two words which are very difficult to translate. But we said, why do we start off here with this parsha about Aaron and the menorah, and what's it doing here? What's the connection to the Messiah? He said, Aaron saw what happened, and he became weak. He became faint. There's something that happened that disturbed. And the fact is that we all have in our lives moments of chalshadato. Everybody has something which causes you to be disturbed. Everybody has something which causes you something that you want to do, something that you long for, something that you strive for, something that you're expecting. And what is it that's going to make us upset? When you see what it is, for some people, maybe it depends which sports team they support, but for some people, that's it. The sports, the wrong team, their team loses, whatever it is. England doesn't get to the finals. I don't know what. They don't eat for a week, right? They don't. That's the thing that when you see what a person celebrates in life, or when you see what a person is really upset about, and what really disturbs them, what causes that chalshadato, that's what you see. What's behind it? What's inside? What really drives it? What drives a person? Aaron HaKohen, and again, is what to talk about. Why specifically the menorah? Why not that or something else? But there was an opportunity here to be part of Chanukat Mishkan. There's an opportunity here to be part of this grand service of Hashem. And he says it happened. It took place. I wasn't there. Chalshadato. I want to be in. You could replace it. Maybe you could just pass the words. Lama Nikara. Lama Nikara. Essentially, that's what Aaron is saying. We fast forward Pesach Sheni, it's exactly the same idea, the same message. You're saying there was an opportunity, there was a mitzvah, there was a way to be part of the nation. Something going on. Lama Nikara. Why should we be left out? And the contrast, it's exactly the Mitzonanim. They're coming along and they're complaining on the other side. The message is, it's not that you can't ever complain. There are things to complain about. There are things to go out and do and fix. But you're complaining about cucumbers. You're complaining about fish. Or worse than that, when we saw Aaron HaKohen, and we saw those of Pesach Sheni, the extent they went to complain, they said, why weren't we obligated? Right? How can we be obligated? You're saying exactly the opposite. Now we're obligated. You're crying about that. You've got it exactly the wrong way. And that's the inverted nuns, and that's the Puranut, and that is the message. Maybe that's a theme that emerges from this parsha.